Welcome to our Cap&GOWN virtual college tour of Georgetown University through the wonderful magic of Zoom, everybody's like former favorite, now probably least favorite tech marvel. We can travel here just on a normal 4:30 on a Friday to Washington, D.C. to tour the Georgetown University. Super exciting. This is a full needs college. That's kind of why we always like to hype it. It's sort of that like Ivy League vibe, but like not technically part of the Ivy League. So for students who are thinking about applying to or have applied to like Mercer, Vanderbilt, I would say even if you haven't applied to Georgetown specifically, you'll be able to ask questions that kind of fit with like the vibe of what this type of school is about. I don't think we have anyone who's applied to Georgetown this year. That's kind of why I say that, but some of the youngins might be thinking about it in a few years. As always, let's just kind of start with our purpose, and feel free to drop in the chat, students especially, what the purpose is for you today. Again, it's 4:30 on a Friday. Why did you show up here? I always love to read out yours as well as mine. My purposes are to help students, aka you guys, research your best fit college / type of college. So again, it might not be Georgetown specifically, but does the vibe of this type of school fit with the feeling you get of like what you want in your college life? To explore as many options as possible. So even if this type of school, a medium-sized private PWI, isn't for you, it's still valuable to explore all your options. And then finally, to close the opportunity gap. So Cap&GOWN's whole purpose is to make sure that every student in Huntsville City Schools feels like they know what to do, how to do it, how to afford the college application, and then the college going process. I'm going to glance over in the chat and see if anyone dropped any Ys. New Century, Jemison, and Lee are repping hard. That's me and Miss Danner's team, so winning. There we go. Mackenzie's helping us to set our purpose here, showing up to try to discover the vibe. Cool. Co-opting my word, but I like it. I kind of co-opted the Gen Z word, so it's really on me. Get the vibe of Georgetown and learn more about their campus life. There's a whole slide on campus life, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And if you have a different purpose or why, oh, maybe I'm just going too fast. Trinity says exploring colleges with a little kitty cat. Those are great. The ways to engage, I'm not going to read all of these bullet points, but as Malik is sharing, be thinking about questions. You can always drop them in the chat if you're worried you'll forget. Please feel free to come off mic too and talk. Obviously, don't cut him off in the middle of a sentence, but if it feels like there's a pause, chat it in or speak aloud asking questions. You can take notes. I will give you that reflection at the end, so make sure that you're ready to go beyond the tour. If Georgetown stands out to you as far as following up with the links, all the stuff that you already know, I'm going to send you in an email to follow up. And without further ado, let me get my face off of Malik. Malik Williams is a current senior at Georgetown University, majoring in government and sociology. He graduated from Jemison, but attended Johnson for 3 years and then graduated from Jemison in 2017. He is looking into business and consulting. I'm going to let him talk more about that because I just don't know enough about it. I'll share this PowerPoint slide as well as his contact info. So if there are questions that you don't get answered or that you think about later, it looks like he has graciously provided his phone number so that we can all follow up. Malik, do you want to kind of take it over from here for a bit and share anything just that I didn't talk about in your intro?
Yeah, well, first I'll start by saying the people who have attended the virtual tour, I'm definitely proud of you guys because I know it's Friday. If it was me, I'm not sure if I'll probably be here if I was in you guys' shoes. So I'm definitely glad that you guys decided to come. And I'll start by saying she talked about a little bit about my career path. So I am a senior. So after college, I basically kind of got a gig in the consulting realm but it's definitely a complicated field, right? Even if you ask people who actually work in consulting now, they could probably hardly tell you. But essentially, kind of what consultants do, they kind of basically work as problem solvers for different businesses and like companies or even other consulting firms. But I work in a boutique consulting firm, so basically what we do is a little bit more specialized, and we kind of serve as like a liaison, which is basically someone who connects a business owner or a business group with also like industry experts. And so we kind of provide our clients, which are different companies or businesses that need certain problems to be solved, and we kind of help mitigate their opportunity costs by finding industry experts to help solve the issues that they need. So I kind of decided to go into that just because I kind of hit a revelation that I was really big into entrepreneurship and business, and I wanted to kind of try this out. And given my government sociology background, I thought this would be the best way to do so by giving me a job that can be able to enhance my business acumen, and then I'll start from there. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. We can kind of move on. Also, the picture on, oh, sorry, go back, please. I'm sorry. This picture, I just wanted to put it because it was kind of goofy, but I was in the White House this day. Well, this is actually the executive office building, which is right across the street from the White House. So this is where the vice presidents work. I had a friend that actually worked there, and he gave me a tour. So that was fun. I wanted to put that there. And so we'll start just the intro to Georgetown University. The picture you guys are looking at on the left is what you see once you walk in front of the front gates. And so I'll give you basic gist about the university. We are a kind of medium-sized private university located here in Washington, D.C. We're also one of the nation's oldest Catholic and Jesuit universities. So, and you also kind of see that our Jesuit and Catholic values kind of play a big part, not from a religious standpoint, but just in some of the educational practices that we have. And as of 2020, I think this was last year, 2019, 2020, we had a total enrollment of about 7,500 students undergrad, an acceptance rate of 14.4%. And then I just looked it up, but last year we were ranked number 23rd on US News as best colleges and national universities. So that's pretty great. The average stats for admission, which is kind of GPA is a 4.01, and the ACT is 31 through 35. But it's something I always like to talk about because I know when I first applied and I was thinking about going to Georgetown, I'm like, well, I don't know if I have those stats, or, my GPA was pretty high, but the ACT wasn't there. And so I didn't know how competitive I would be, but I definitely would tell you that the application process for Georgetown is very holistic. So don't get too caught up into like the standardized test scores and GPA. They also look at you holistically as a person, and you'll see in the next slide where that comes in at if you want to kind of go to the next slide for us. Yeah, so just some Georgetown University vocab. Start off basic with the Hoya, which the literal definition means what? Hoya is a Greek term, and I think that we had I think back maybe in like the 1800s, we had like a sports team called like the Stonewalls, and so like a student ended up deciding to just replace that with like the Greek term Hoya Saxa, which is why you see we use Hoya Saxa in our fight song, and that's kind of essentially mean like what rocks. So I guess that's just the lame way of being like, oh yeah, let's go. But yeah, and we just call ourselves the Hoya just for short term, and this kind of nickname that developed over the time at the university. And Cura Personalis is something that that's stuck with me since I've been here, and it goes back to what I was just talking about on the last slide. So this is also a Latin phrase, is used to basically encapsulate Georgetown's approach to education. So here at our university, we're committed, not only just to your academic achievement, but also like to your mental health, physical well-being and spiritual growth as well. And so like all of this is kind of something that will play a part in your 4 years here at Georgetown. And going back to admissions process, right? That's the reason why they look at you holistically. So when you do, once you apply and you get through a certain stage, you'll have an interview, and you'll have like 2 essays to be able to write, so you can be able to explain and sell yourself, sell your story and your narrative to the university. And that's much more important. I found it much more important in my process than any standardized test score I could take. So. And so for financial aid and financial requirements, Georgetown is a very expensive school. As you can see, this is this year's adjusted cost of attendance rate. Obviously, because of the pandemic, it's kind of diminished a little bit. So the average cost of attendance is nearly around $69,000 to $70,000 a year. As you can see, full-time tuition and fees are about $54,000. Housing and meal expenses are about $11,000 to $12,000. And books are nearly around 3,200. So that's definitely like something you could see and like, oh man, that's a lot. But here at Georgetown, what you see on the left side of the picture here is the financial aid kind of requirements and how they do their financial aid. So there aren't necessarily any merit-based scholarships that the university offers. Instead, as Ms. Heller already commented, they offer the need-based scholarships. So basically they're willing to match whatever your family's expected contribution consists of, which is what this formula is right here, which is cost of attendance minus expected family responsibility is the financial aid you receive. So say, for example, if your expected family contribution is, say, maybe $500, well, that's what your family will be expected to pay. And then the university will come up with a package to kind of help mitigate the rest of those expenses. So that's the best thing about the university. Like if you're able to get in and attend and kind of like fill out your FAFSA information, they're willing to help you. So yeah, you could go to the next slide.
I was just going to ask, Malik, does that package include loans?
So yeah, that's actually a good question. So it's a murky situation because what they do is they say, well, yeah, we'll match what your family can't put up. But regardless of what your family can contribute, there's still a minimum amount to be paid. And I think it's about around maybe $2,000 each year. But the way that's set up is that they set your package up with subsidized loans. So the subsidized loans are great because you don't incur any interest until you graduate from college. And I mean, if you're gonna get anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a year for a $70,000 education, I mean, that's great. And then you also hear me talk about some of the programs that they offer as well. So if you do qualify for need-based scholarship, you automatically are accepted into the Georgetown Scholarship Program, which is what Ms. Heller talked about. And so basically, give you a basic gist about the GSP program. It essentially provides, oh yeah, there it goes. Yep. So Georgetown Scholarship Program was funded in 2004 and has served over 1,600 university students. And it provides not only like programmatic support, how it talks about, but also financial support as well. So if you're in, like, GSP is like the best thing that kind of happened here for me, because it offers not only so much social and emotional support from other people that may be experiencing similar things that you are. The financial support is there as well. When you're talking about, like, you can get like computer grants, you can get like they have like a coat drive where you can like give you like $100 or so for coats. Since I've been here, they like pay for your groceries. So there's so many different like opportunities to like kind of make some money and like keep money in your pocket. So the loans are necessarily never kind of be a worry if you may have to incur some. And could you slide back up? Another important thing that I really did like is you see the 96% graduation rate versus 30% national rate among first generation students. So also this program is for first gen or low income students. And as you can see, the national average for those students all across universities a 30% graduation rate, versus us, we have a 96% graduation rate, which is something I'm always glad to talk about. Is there anything else? Let's see, community building. As you can see, it says cultivating a warm and inclusive family environment for students. So let's see what you said. Says to me that they are committed to making sure GSP students. Exactly. So when you talk about all the support that they give you, even you have like CAP support, which is the psychiatric services support. So you'll always be able to, talk to, counselors and be able to like sort out some of the issues, whatever it has. And it contributes back to that cure personalis, which is just caring for the whole person. Um, yeah, so you can see they have their wellness resources. So GSP has a lot. Like I could spend all day talking about how many resources. Like I could tell you guys a story. Um, so they give you a professional development grant every year, and you can use it for whatever. But I normally just claim that I'm buying some new dress shoes or shirt and tie. But it literally was like $350 this year, and so like they have so much money from donors that they have to kind of spend it each year. So you can always, ask GSP for any financial support if you are kind of like in a certain financial bond at the moment. So that's, like I said, I could talk all day about GSP. It's a great place.
And Malik, did you have to apply to this separately, or how does that work?
No, so like I said, if you are admitted into the university and you meet the criteria, be it your first generation college student or low income, they normally automatically place you there. So that's kind of been the experience. So normally once your admission comes, GSP kind of comes right after the admission and like say, hey, congratulations, you're into the program. And within GSP, you also have another program that I participate in, which was CSP, which is the Community Scholars Program. So that's when you kind of do a 6-week, summer semester. Basically, you take 2 courses, and the whole purpose of the program is trying to get these college students acclimated to the university before having to go in their freshman semester. So that's kind of a great program as well. And like I said, they kind of provide certain benefits as well. Like I was able to get 6 credits before I even started my fall freshman year. So I was able to take like four classes my freshman fall, not have that much of a burden because it was already challenging of adjustment there is. So as you can see, like 85% students of color. So be around people that's kind of like similar to you or may come from similar backgrounds, which is great. We can go back to the presentation if you want. Now, so this slide, we're going to talk about just some of the student clubs and organizations in general. Also, I want to stop. Does anyone have like a particular question or something? You guys can always stop. Just feel free, because I know I'm talking a lot. Just feel free to stop me whenever, or I think they have a raise hand signal. So Ms. Heller, you probably could. Yeah, I think we could see that if someone has a question, but just putting that out there.
Sure, I'll keep an eye on the chat too. If anyone chats, I'll make sure I kind of wait for a pause and then ask it as well.
Yeah, so basically with clubs and organizations on campus, I'll just basically say Greek life here at Georgetown isn't necessarily recognized by the university because it kind of like, I guess, like violates some of the Jesuit or Catholic values that the university upholds. So it's not necessarily recognized by the university. But because of this, the school kind of social life and networking space is predicated heavily on clubs and organizations. So once you first get here, like that's kind of the big deal, what clubs I'm going to join or like what, organizations I want to get into. And some people put a lot of pressure on themselves to do that in efforts to like meet friends and stuff, but it's not something that you have to necessarily give into. I didn't, but it is a huge, huge factor here. And it's a great way to meet people. So you can see we have over like 39 club sports, from like club tennis, I think club golf, basketball, soccer as well. And then we also have the 127 advocacy and social justice clubs. So a lot of students, these are student-led organizations that are like working in the communities, that are kind of like going out, doing field work and doing social justice work, which is great if you're interested in that. And then we also have 85 cultural groups. So I know we have I think like the East Asian Society, if I'm not mistaken. We have the CCC, which is the Caribbean Culture Circle. And then obviously we have the BSA, which is Black Student Association. So you have a lot of different like cultural and affinity groups that you can kind of join and be able to meet people that may be similar to you as well. I think I pretty much said oh yeah. So each school year. So for new students, we always have something that we call a cab fair. So it's right outside. You'll see once we do the virtual tour, it's right outside the front gates, right? So this is where all the clubs will like be parked on the Hilly line at the first week of school. And so it's a chance for new students to like learn and join these student-led organizations. And it's really great. You can just see it's a whole bunch of like people and like, yeah, food and stuff. And it's like a kind of a big deal. Are there any clubs like women in medicine? So I'm not particularly sure. I could send you they have a link with all the list of all clubs, and they have so many that I'm pretty sure there's something out there. I'm not particularly familiar with like women in medicine, but I'm sure that there's something there for that. But some of the notable organizations that most people know are like really a big deal here on campus is I'll start with the Corp. So the Corp is one of the largest student-run organizations in the world. It's the largest 501c program in the entire world that's student-led, and I think that they oh yeah, so they have an annual revenue of about $5 million a year. So it's a big deal. So it's like if you get it and if you get into the Corp, it's like this huge thing where people like go crazy. But I'm just like, I guess it's cool. But Guap School is another one. And as you can see, Georgetown, they have a lot of acronyms. So you always hear like, oh, people say like a CMEA or a Guap School. This is just like the acronyms for these long words that you don't want to say all the time. But the Georgetown University Alumni Student Federal Credit Union is basically a student-run financial institution. So it's basically a bank that's all student-run. It's not for profit, so students don't get paid, but you get the real-world experience of actually being able to work in a bank or like working in finance right before. And so it's a great way to kind of network with people that are also trying to go into these industries. And there's a way to kind of like keep people close to you once you kind of graduate, which is the big point I think of universities like this, aside from obviously getting the degree, which what you come here for, but it's to enhance your social network and social capital. I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of how it is. And I think that joining organizations like this definitely helps you because not only are you able to harness some of these skills, but you're also able to meet people that are going to be in important spaces. And maybe, hey, if you guys are nice enough and you guys have a chat, they are be willing to hire you down the road. So that's the great part about it. And CMEA, I kind of talked about it a little bit briefly, but it's the Center for Multicultural Equity and Access. And so they partner with GSP a lot. So a lot of GSP students are also like a part of and participate in CMEA. And it's basically a safe space for students of color on campus where you can kind of like talk and maybe like, do community service programs for inner city youth within the District of Columbia. So it's a great way to kind of, continue to find community here. Which is something I've been able to do as well. So
I had two questions, Malik. What specific programs or clubs have you been part of? I know you said a couple, but are there any that you haven't mentioned?
Yeah, so so like I said, the whole club thing for me is a debate I have with people all the time because it's not as necessary. It was cool my freshman year, like it's something you want to do, right? You want to get out there and meet people. So I joined, I'm a political guy. Like I came in I'm a government major. So I joined the College Democrats. And that was a cool thing to be able to kind of like, I guess, congregate around people that are like really interested in politics. We actually worked on Doug Jones' race that time with Roy Moore. So that was actually cool. I did some phone banking there. And it was a great way to meet friends that are also interested in politics. I did that. And there was another program, well, actually two, Male Development Association, which does a lot of mentorship with the Duke Ellington kids, which is a school right like around the block of Georgetown. So they kind of do a lot of with male Black men and like students of color that are in high school and have the aspirations of going to college. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, give me one moment. Okay. So yeah, I did Male Development Association, which is kind of a similar program to CAP&GOWN, which we go to high schoolers, kind of help them with like ACT tutoring or just like, college, like asking questions about college. And then I did for my sophomore year, going into junior year summer, I did a program called I worked with the Center for Social Justice. So I was able to I did some teaching over the summer. I worked in a preschool, which was a heck of an experience. I really enjoyed that. Like working with kids were like, it was tough. It actually worked on my discipline, but it was great. I had a good time, and it allowed me to kind of like get more acclimated to the District of Columbia, because there's a certain thing called, yeah, they definitely are. But there's a certain thing called the Georgetown bubble, and you can, often get stuck with just being in the parameters of Georgetown. So being able to work at the preschool in the district, it will allow me to kind of branch out into other parts of the city. And so that was a great experience for me as well. And I met a lot of good people that I'm still cool with in those programs.
The second part of my question is, what is the thing where like Georgetown people do like the Bollywood dancing? Is that a club or something?
See, you probably gotta ask somebody else.
Oh, okay. Have you seen people doing this? Is this like a thing, or am I making that up?
So I haven't seen it. I'm not even familiar. I'm not even gonna lie. You
Okay.
know something, because I didn't even I didn't even know. And so academic life, obviously, is college. So this is kind of what we're here for. So we'll just go to the left picture. So we have an 11-to-1 student professor ratio. So class sizes are pretty like moderate. They're not too huge. And I really like that because there's a lot of diversity in curriculum and like courses. So you could take pretty much like any course you can think of. Like the courses here at Georgetown are very, very interesting. Like right now I'm in an environment and societies class, and like we kind of talk about like the whole issues of like climate change and like, moral responsibility, or, how these like grand or macro issues, right, kind of like affect people on an individual level as well. So like there's so much diversity in courses here that I really enjoy. Let's read the chat. Oh, that's a great class. Oh yeah, definitely. And we have like 100 prestigious scholarships and fellowships that's awarded to like undergraduates. So I know Miss Heller, obviously, right, like Rhodes Scholars and those types of fellowships that a lot of students go to after graduating from Georgetown. And the interesting thing here was 91% of 2018 graduates employed or continued education post-grad. So a big issue here that we always talk about, Hoyas hire other Hoyas. Hoyas look out for each other. Like you can go probably a lot of places around the country, and like you see people that actually graduated from Georgetown, and like they're willing to actually help you out regardless if they know you're not. It's kind of a big family. Once you kind of have that Hoya name behind yourself, people are willing to help you out if they graduated from there. And so if we go back to the university itself, though, our university is comprised of four different schools. So once you apply here, you apply to the individual schools. You have the Georgetown College, which is what I'm in. It's the liberal arts department of the school. So all the social science related, from like economics to government to sociology, anthropology, those are kind of where those programs branch under. Then obviously you have the MSB, which is the McDonough School of Business. So if you're kind of like a business person and you want to go into finance or marketing or business management, that's kind of where you direct yourself towards. And then my personal favorite that I wish I went to if I was foreign language proficient, but the School of Foreign Service. So that's kind of where a lot of people go if they want to like be an ambassador for in another country, or you want to work as a diplomat somewhere. And so that's kind of one of the tougher schools because you have to be language proficient. So most people either already know another language, so they kind of just like finagle and finesse their way through it that way. So yeah, and study abroad, we also have a very, very expensive study abroad program. So more than 57 different countries host Georgetown students. There are nearly 213 programs available for undergraduates, and about roughly 1,000 undergraduate students have studied abroad in last year. And it's also good when you talk about the financial standpoint. Also, Mackenzie, the crazy thing, I was supposed to study abroad, and my mom, like, she didn't really want me to study abroad. This was actually last year. And also I was gonna we have a villa in Italy, and it's kind of like centered around like the Renaissance. So I wanted to do that program because I didn't have to like learn another language to be there. But it ended up not kind of like correlating with the credits that I needed to graduate. So I decided not to do it. And a good thing, I guess COVID happened, and I know people that got stuck in Italy for like literally like a month or so. They were like literally stuck in Italy trying to get back home. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go last year. Let's see. I think Georgetown is the #1 school for getting students into form. Yeah. So that's kind of where we get our name and I guess prestige from. It's from the School of Foreign Service. So a lot of the a lot of like kings and you know in a foreign like diplomats have actually graduated from the School of Foreign Service. So that's kind of where we get our claim to fame. Does anybody have any other specific questions about like just academics specifically? All right, we can roll on. Yeah, and so this is just we just put some pictures up so you can kind of like see the campus. My favorite shot is the one on the bottom left. That's like my favorite shot. Oversees the entire city, which is cool. You see I think that's the JFK, the Kennedy Center, right across from the water there. So I always like that shot. The top shot is of Hilly Hall. So this is like the majestic building that you see when you first enter the gates. And when I got here, that's all I looked at when I came here. I was just looking up like I'd never seen a building like that. Where am I? Harry Potter movie or something. So and so yeah, it's just another picture of kind of Hilly from the back that last picture. So and this one right here, I'll go back, I'm sorry. So this is actually my favorite building, like aesthetically. Yeah, where you're pointing at right there, the top right, the Mcdester School of Business. So that's like one of the newer buildings. I think it was built fairly recently, I want to say, or they renovated it rather. But yeah, it's like my favorite building of all the buildings on campus. And so here I just posted some notable alumni. I'm not sure if you know this, the younger white male here on the top left, but that's our Christopher Scribner. I had to put him there. He was a graduate of Georgetown, also helped out with CAP&GOWN. Obviously on the bottom left, you have Bill Clinton, which was the 42nd president of the United States. If you guys are familiar with basketball, you have Jeff Green, which is now hooping for the Brooklyn Nets, which is cool. He graduated from Georgetown. On the top right, that's Bradley Cooper, I think. If you guys have watched what is it, Hangover? I don't know if you guys are too or young enough, or you're probably too young for that. And then on the bottom right, that's actually Supreme Court Justice Scalia. So he actually was an undergrad at Georgetown as well. So you can see we have people from a variety of different backgrounds and industries, obviously, which is very cool. And so we can kind of get into the first year housing. So there are 4 freshman halls. Each of them are all co-ed. So you have the New South building, which is on the bottom left that you see. That's kind of like, they're all traditional style dorms as well. The bottom right is Darnall. That's like kind of the one people hated the most, which they're currently renovating now. There's not too many people are staying there now. You have VCW, which is Village City West, which is at the top left. That's kind of like one of the better ones because they actually have, VCW actually has bathrooms within each room. So you kind of get your own personal bathroom. The other 3, they have bathrooms that's kind of shared on the hall. Outside of Harbin, Harbin is where I live. That's where Bill Clinton lived as well. And so for Harbin, it's kind of like organized in pods, right? So instead of it being one bathroom for a whole hall, there would be just a bathroom in each pod. So I think there's about like three to 4 pods on each floor. And so each pod has one bathroom. So you probably share the bathroom with like maybe about 8 or other people or so. So that's kind of like better. And I think they may be making some special accommodations in terms of the traditional style dorm setting, because obviously COVID, they're kind of like changing things and like trying to like mitigate as many people living like in the same room. So that's, I guess, a cool feature that I hope improves.
Malik, for your personal housing experience, you only lived on campus 1 year, is that right?
I actually lived on campus, so I'm still considered living it. So it's complicated. So I lived on campus pretty much all my years, but more specifically, my first and second year, I stayed in dorms. Now the university owns they own like several properties outside of the front gates. So they kind of like they give those basically those are part of housing, on campus housing, quote unquote, even though it's outside of the front gates. So that's kind of like I've been staying in 2 university owned townhouses for the past few years, and that's kind of been good. So, and also the good thing too, they pay for it. So if you end up, getting lucky and you get a townhouse that the university owns, it just goes along with your financial aid package, which is great. Okay, so the HFFC, which is Healey Family Student Center, is one of the like newer additions to the campus. I think it was built in like 2014 or something like that. It's a really nice place. So it's basically a multi-purpose building. So you have a lot of different things going on there, whether you can like, study or, just hang out with friends, congregate. They have a lot of organizations that run programming there because they have like a lot of different rooms where programming is allowed. They also have several restaurants in. You have a Bulldog Tavern, which is kind of like I guess like a grill and bar restaurant. And then you have Hill Toss, which is kind of like a salad type of salad place where you can go and get a salad and get coffee and kind of like chill and just study or just talk with friends. And also they have dance studios where a lot of people kind of like some of the dance clubs do like their practices and things of that nature. And then the lounge area. So whenever there's like a big game, whether it's playoffs or just a big time regular season game, you see a lot of people kind of go into the lounge area and watch even the election. There's so many like people here that really are into politics. So the election was like a huge part as well that kind of people like spent in the lounge area. And I just wanted to go back to CMEA just because I thought it's really, really important. It's been great for my growth here, just to share personal stories. Georgetown hasn't always been good to me, not from a financial standpoint or university, but just culturally. Obviously, coming from like predominantly Black schools all my life, and then obviously like just transitioning to a complete 180. Going to a PWI, being broke my freshman year, like I didn't have the financial like wherewithal as I do now. Like that was kind of like very challenging. And so these certain safe spaces kind of helped me kind of transition, acclimate, and kind of like come to terms with my current position in life. And so, as I already said, they support students of color here at Georgetown in numerous of ways in terms of like, whether you need someone to talk to in the office about like personal issues you're going through, concerns. Maybe you need a flight to go get back home. And you may not have the money, and you go talk to someone there and they probably like come up with it for you or find some funding that can kind of help you get back. I know I had that experience before. I feel like it came at the perfect time.
We just had a student join. Jakisha's a senior at Grissom, and we've kind of had a conversation with Jalen about some of the similar stuff of like making that transition, especially going to a PWI. So I just thought she'll be interested in what you have to say here.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely tough, but I've had a lot of time to kind of reflect and ground myself into purpose, like really trying to find, just on terms of the PWI thing, is like it's really about purpose for me. At the end of the day, I can sit here and say, oh, I go to a PWI, it's bad, or oh, I go to HBCU, I really enjoy it. But I guess what helped me push through is at the end of the day, people only care about what's going on in the present moment. So what happens in the past, like it's kind of over at a certain point. And like, that's kind of what helped me kind of get over some of the things like that I was experiencing in school. So like now in retrospect, I'm looking back and I'm like, well, I'm glad, even though like some of the experience I had, I didn't necessarily enjoy it. I'm glad now I went through because, hey, I'm about to like, be able to obtain my degree. Already have a job lined up. You don't really have that many student loans, thankfully. And so like those are the experiences that now I can look at and say, well, that's my present moment, and that's kind of what I work towards anyways. So I just say all that to say, like, once you graduated or once you like kind of like been done with like the whole party scene or whatever it may be. Like no one cares how many parties you went to. If you're a Greek, nobody cares how many parties you strolled at or what day you wore your letters to your job or something. Like no one cares. Like it's over. Not to say that's gonna make the situations better. It just puts it in a perspective for me personally. So that's kind of like how I kind of move about in my day to day. And just to kind of get back with CMEA, there's an opportunity to help DC students prepare for college, like I said. So they have a lot of programming as well that helps you reconnect to the community and be able to give back and help other students that are kind of looking into college. It's a chance to welcome and or host, prospective students. I did it. It's called Hoya Saxa Weekend. So I actually like hosted a student. So you get kids that kind of just get accepted. They come for their visit and then they like kind of stay with you. It was a cool process to meet like some of the younger people that were probably thinking about coming to the school. And like I said, they have affordable options for textbooks. So you get like if you have a textbook that you may need and it's in CMEA, you can go get it for free. They have free printing all year, so you don't never have to like pay for printing. And they have summer housing as well. If you say you don't want to go back home and you want to kind of stay and take extra courses, they'll actually help pay for your summer housing, and so you won't have to incur any debt or worry about any rent issues and things of that nature. So, like I said, great program. Let me read the comments here. Oh, okay. Now, I mean, that's pretty much all I had. Obviously, we'll use the U-Tour to kind of give you some more visuals, but yeah. Did you want to do the Q&A first, or did you want to do that afterwards, or?
I would say like if anyone has questions at this point, drop them because it looks like I lost the chat. So we have a little pause if you
Okay,
want to ask questions, and then let's go ahead through a little bit of the U visit and then open it up for more questions at the end.
that sounds perfect.
I have a question.
So what's up, Jakisha?
I'm not sure if it was asked yet or not, but I was gonna ask about the food options and like around the area. Like, do you guys have like a nice cafe? Because I know some colleges, some of my friends, they don't like their cafe at their college. So I was just wondering about that.
I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you. When I first got here, it was terrible. I was like, man, I can't be doing this. Like my folks can cook. I can't just be, I don't know what you got me eating on, but it's actually got significantly better. Like the options that we have now is like much more better. They like revamped the dining hall, which is called Leo's. I forgot to kind of cover that. So it gives you so many different options. And the thing that I kind of like as well is like they're kind of teaching like health wellness even in like kind of our food intake. So they have so many options, whether you're vegan, they have like vegan health options. They have like they have a saute like section. They have like Asian food section called the Sazon, where you can get a different variety of food options. So I actually enjoy it now. But as far as DC in general, I particularly don't like DC in terms of like food. Me and like my girlfriend, we talk about it all the time because like the food here just isn't good. Like everything closes down early. So like around 10, 11 o'clock, only thing you can get is like freaking McDonald's or something, or like order something off, or like everything is expensive too. But that's just kind of like my harp on like just the whole DC eating scene. But in terms of the university dining hall, they've definitely bettered it the last few years. So.
Kind of going along with that in the chat, Mackenzie asked like as far as the area, so like Georgetown, I guess like as the neighborhood, how would you describe that? And I think she said like as far as maybe like, is it expensive? Spoiler alert, yes, but go ahead, I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, she already told me that. It's very expensive. DC in general, like I'll tell you, we have a store, it's like very famous around campus. It's called Wise Millers. And like, that's where a lot of people you get sandwiches and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, I pay like freaking $10 or $11 for like a sandwich, small bag of like little 70%, like 70-cent chips you can get out the corner store and like a Powerade. And I'm like, bro, that's $12. Like that's just kind of how it is. You can find like I tell people, there's always a solution to everything, right? So maybe cook a little bit more, you know what I mean? Or maybe, kind of just stick it out and use the dining hall options. We have a lot of options on campus. Like there's a Chick-fil-A there. We have a Crop Chop, which is like kind of like a salad bar you can get food from. We have another, like the several restaurants I talked to you about. So there's a lot of options even within campus to kind of like find like good, healthy, or not even just healthy, but just great, like tasteful food options. But just in terms of like just outside, it's definitely kind of like difficult depending on like who you are and what you like. As far as like just the overall, I guess, community, Georgetown community, I look at Georgetown itself as just the university is even outside these front gates, right? So it's at least like 5 blocks past, because you have even different like departments that we go and like have classes in there. It's not necessarily on campus, but it's kind of like the whole Georgetown community basically, because Georgetown is not just the university, it's also like a part of town within DC. And it's definitely very expensive. It's the most expensive place in DC to live. It's like top 10 most expensive place to live like in America. But like I said, with university aid, I don't have to really worry about that as much as like some people do. So it's all cool. I make it work. And it said, oh yeah, the last question, did you experience a lot of racism? Definitely, like you experience racism everywhere, in my opinion. If you're Black, like that's just how it is. I don't care where you go. It's just more, there's a difference, right? You could talk about overt and covert. Here it's like more covert, right? So you're looking at all the subliminal things, the underlying things that necessarily may not be like things that people just say outright, right? Or it's like, oh, do you play sports here? Like that can be a form of like, oh, you just asking me because I'm Black, or because it's like I'm tall and I look athletic. Like, what is it? Or it could be anything. It's like, oh, someone sees you like walking on the street and like they cross the other side, and like it's more of the covert thing here. So that actually does play a factor that I say in some aspects. And in other aspects, I'll say that I have great experience with people that are non-Black in some respects. Like I have several friends that are not Black. But just to go back to your point, obviously, I just feel like racism is just, that's another conversation, but it's kind of inescapable. And I definitely have experienced some moments where it's like, oh, dang, like that was kind of a situation that I want to like look at. It says, for picking a college, social and education balance is important to me. I know you talked about how there is networking, support, and good education, but is it fun? I want to have a good education. I don't want to feel like work. Hey, I definitely like this question though, because you're asking me to be real with myself. You're not in clubs on campus, or do you feel disconnected with the student body? Just to answer the first part, is it fun? It's kind of, I think college in general is just what you make of it. I don't care where you go. Like you kind of, there's going to be some things you don't like. There's going to be some things that you enjoy. There's in particular, is it the party scene here? It's okay. I'm not going to sit up here and like lie to you and make it seem like it's, oh, like it's very turned, or it's like, oh, the top 10 party school. Like it's not that, but I think it's what you make of it. And then also because you're also in DC as well, right? So when you talk about, there's 4 other, I think like 3 to 4 other universities. You have Howard, that's kind of like pretty much down the street. You have George Washington University, American University. So there's just a lot of college students within the DC area in general. And I think the number one mistake Georgetown students make is that they don't really branch out. And so you kind of feel, I guess you kind of feel like you can't necessarily have fun. And I think that you can find your fun, even if it's not necessarily on campus. I've had great experiences with like parties and stuff on campus. Like last year at my townhouse, like we had it going good, bro. It was fun. So I've had great experiences, but that was kind of like, cause I made it out of it. But like I said, college in general is kind of what you make of it. And then your second question was, do I feel disconnected because I'm not in any clubs? Not anymore. Like I said, you do all the club searching, or I want to meet out people and get to know people. Like I know people now, regardless if I'm in a student organization or not, right? I've already done that. And I think that experience is something that you see maybe like your freshman, sophomore year, unless you're really just really love the work that you do in the organization, you're really heavily involved in it. I think it kind of like fizzles out your junior, senior year because people priorities kind of change, right? Like your first few years, you're still trying to figure out how I like get adjusted to campus life. How do I like, learn to navigate this space? And I think even for me personally, Jalen, I don't know if you can talk about it, but the last 2 years for me, senior year has been spent thinking about a forward. Okay, what am I going to do with my life after this? Okay, what are the opportunities that I have that I can take advantage of? That's where my mind kind of had shifted towards. So it's less about worrying about how can I navigate this space because I've already kind of done it the last few years. So you kind of spend these next couple of years. Okay, do I got internships, or if I don't want to necessarily go to work afterward, do I have post grad opportunities that come? So I think that it's definitely, you feel, I guess, if you're not in clubs your first like freshman and sophomore year, you may feel a little disconnected, but for the most part, I never did.
Yeah, I have a quick question about just about adjusting to the rigor of Georgetown. This is like a top tier school. And coming from Huntsville, Alabama, I mean, you went to Johnson, you went to Jemison, and coming into Georgetown, you're talking about like, the average student of like a 4.01 GPA. And, I think you understand like the level of work that you did in high school. How was it adjusting to, the Georgetown rigor? Because I'm sure it was like pretty hard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just my privilege, but it's not that school isn't hard to me. It's about discipline, especially like with what I'm doing. I think like I'm gonna be honest, if you're in a STEM major, so I think if you like maybe science, technology, engineering, there's a certain foundation that you need to have already to kind of succeed at certain schools. Like it's just like that, right? If you didn't have great calculus courses before you got here, you're gonna struggle for a certain portion. That's just because you have to have a certain foundation. But in the social sciences, everything is about creativity, your mind, how can you think? And I think that the environments you guys come from and the things that you've been exposed to, you already have that, even if you don't necessarily have the existing vocabulary to explain it a certain way or anything like that. So I never like kind of questioned my intelligence. At first I did, because it was just like, oh man, the ACT is like, bro, they got 30s. And it's like that test didn't determine how intelligent I was at all. That's kind of like a area code test, if you ask, or a zip code test, right? It's about where you're from, right? How much money your parents spend. I know friends that parents spent thousands of dollars since they was in the 8th grade to get a certain ACT score. They have there's even research about the certain words that they put in the ACT that people like us, we don't even use. So it's like, it was never about that. It was the discipline level, right? So if I got a 15-page paper, it wasn't about, was I smart enough to like actually like perform the task. It was, could I sit down and get it done? Could I sit through a 15-page paper like and write over and over and over? And that was something that you just have to build. You have to build discipline. You have to work for discipline. But in terms of like just intelligence, I don't necessarily question. I don't think you guys, like, I've met people here and I'm like, bro, like, how you get in here? Like, I'm like, bro, I don't even see how you're in here with me. Like, and at first I was questioning myself, like, man, I'm sitting next to, I had a 24 on my ACT. I'm like, man, I'm sitting next to people who got 30s and they say the craziest things in class. So that was encouraging for me. It was just like, okay, well, these folks already came from boarding school. They were already doing 15-page research papers without any guidance from from teachers back in high school. So I was just catching up from the discipline standpoint. But intelligence, like you'll have that. So don't necessarily worry about that. It's about the discipline.
So one more question, just like a second part. So if rigor, I mean, obviously I understand and I can really like resonate with the discipline part. But what was a humbling moment for you coming to Georgetown? Like just overall, just humbled you being there?
My first semester here was probably the toughest, because I'll be open with you guys. Like I experienced a little depression. It wasn't just about like just being at Georgetown. It's just life itself kind of hits you. You know what I mean? Like I said, moved away from home. I came from a big family, big community. You know, like friends I miss. Like I look on Snapchat, my friends are like out at parties, you know, having fun, drinking, and doing what college students do. And shoot, I'm stressing about how I'm gonna turn this paper in and do this little 50-page reading for tomorrow. And it's cold outside. The wind is literally like piercing my ear. Like, so like all that stuff kind of like comes up into it. Then I talk about the social, right? How I kind of like went through like this whole cultural transformation of being from like going to Jemison, going to Johnson, and then all of a sudden just going to a PWI. And like, and this is like a PWI where, you know, princes go here, you know, like the Prince of Greece goes here, and like a lot of like kind of influential families, like their students, not students, but their children come to school like this. So you're talking about a certain demographic of people. I had to learn how to acclimate around it. So that was very challenging. And just when you talk about the academic rigor in terms of like just having the discipline to do that type of level of work while withstanding everything else that's going on in your personal life and your social life. So that was the most difficult time for me. And it was humbling. I'm like, man, can I really like, you know, rise above it? But for me, man, I kind of like just found ways in terms of whether it was reflecting or always reminding myself, man, like all I got to do is get past this stepping stone, right? Like there's always light at the end of the tunnel. That's always kind of how I tell myself to keep going. But yeah, definitely freshman fall was like the most humbling moment for me, because I never felt like that in life. And that's one thing I'm proud of being able to go to Georgetown. Say like I was actually challenged, right? I was challenged socially. I was challenged academically. I was challenged in every way possible. And so now I'm kind of on the other side, literally 2 months from graduating. It's like, dang, like I was able to kind of like conquer this. I know now in my future life, like there's much more things I can accomplish now because of this. So
that's amazing. Are there any other questions before? Maybe we'll just pick like 2 or 3 stops, Malik, that we haven't talked about. But were there any other questions before we check out a couple of these stops along the tour? I'll also send this link, so if you want to explore all the way, you'll be able to as well. All right, drop more questions in the chat while we kind of tour. Malik, are there any places that you're already like, oh, let's click that and head there?
I think.
Can you tell us first what we're looking at here?
So this is basically kind of like what we talked about, right? The Hilly lawn. So the whole section that you're about to see is the actual like lawn, the front lawn of the university, and the first building is Healey Hall, obviously. And that's kind of the building that we talked about. You see the statue in front. That's the statue of John Carroll, which is the founder of our university.
Malik, did you ever sit on that guy's lap or anything?
Yeah, I did that. My first time visiting. They say like you're supposed to do that every time, like once before you graduate. So I actually saw this. I have the picture, so I have to find it. But yeah,
follow Malik on Facebook. You'll see that picture.
And like I said, this is Healey Hall. I think you can click on it. She'll probably tell you a little bit about the building, but this is like my favorite. This is one of my favorite buildings just because of how historic it is and like how it looks. Like I said, it just looks like, I just love the architecture style. So
I'm just trying to see if I share computer sound.
Oh yeah, I think it's on mute at the bottom.
Yeah.
Healey Hall is the flagship building on the main campus of Georgetown University. It houses academic and administrative offices, as well as the historic Riggs Library and Gaston Hall. In front of Healey Hall is Healey Lawn, which is one of the largest open green spaces on campus and is popular for students to read and play recreational sports in beautiful weather.
Now click forward. I will. Let's try to go inside the building so you guys can see a little bit. And also kind of
Ooh.
Yeah. So it very regal.
Have you gone in here for anything? Like, are there things you do inside here?
Yeah, that's why I was click one more time. Yeah.
Okay.
This is actually called Gaston.
Gaston Hall is an over 700-seat event hall where national and international dignitaries have spoken since the turn of the last century. Convocations, honorary degree ceremonies, lectures, and musical and dramatic performances are also held in this historic venue.
Yeah, so I like this part of the of Healey Hall because, like you said, she already said all the prestigious guests and stuff that kind of come to the university speak here. So me and one of my friends, we watched Bill Clinton give a speech here. I think Obama's given a speech here. Hillary Clinton has given a speech here. They host like monthly TED Talks in this building. I'm trying to think of of other people who've given. It's been a lot of people who've like kind of like very influential people, especially in like your politics, obviously, speak here. So I see Karina asks, what are some of the majors that majority of students went for? I think that in our school, so Georgetown, the Georgetown College, there is about probably the number one major that most people actually study, I think, is government, which is the major I'm in. I think government econ and maybe sociology, maybe the three top ones. But nearly because of government, we are the number one school for government, which is political science, basically. It's just our fancy way of saying political science. But we're the number one school in America for political science, obviously, because we're in the heart of DC. So like if you want to get an internship on the Hill, or, you know, you want to like shadow someone on the Hill, it's easy. You have more access to do so. And a lot of the professors we have here, like top notch. So one of the classes I have, and I'll be a little brief, I had a international security course with a guy named Matthew Kranig. And Kranig is actually the national security advisor for Mitt Romney during his presidential run against Barack Obama. And he actually, this past 2016 presidential election, he was the national security advisor for Marco Rubio. So he's like always on CNN. He's kind of like always like visiting other schools, countries, touring, speaking about like international relations. And I was able to kind of like forge a relationship with him and talk about that type of stuff. So it was very cool.
You have another question in the chat, which I think you've kind of addressed a little bit, but Jakisha came in later. So maybe if you want to refresh, and then also you might have some new stuff you didn't cover.
Oh yeah, so if it's warm outside, like she said, people like sometimes you'll just go on the line, maybe, you know, throw a blanket down or something and like kind of read, study, and chill. The library, obviously, which is loud. That's kind of the place that I normally studied the most. Or Healey Family Student Center, like that we covered earlier. That's a place where most time people like kind of go in and study and stuff. So.
And Jakisha had asked, what are some places to study, just so folks who are watching later. And she also asked, was it difficult to meet people of color at a PWI? Any advice you would give to those who plan to attend a PWI?
No, I think I won't say I guess it's kind of a little bit, it's not as hard because it's only so few of you, right? So you're going to try to search each other out anyways. You're like, oh, where you at? Like, oh, what's up, man? So it's a little easier just because it's so few of you. So you guys are gonna kind of try to cling to each other. You talked about any advice I would give. Like I kind of said, I know you came in a little later. I think that it depends on what your worries are. My worries was that I was missing out because I necessarily felt like I was in the wrong place, or I wasn't doing the things that normal college students do, which is like party and drink hard liquor on a Wednesday, or like something like that. And it's like I wanted to do that at a certain point when I was like a freshman, sophomore. So that's when I really kind of like had it like a tough time. But I think just in general, just trying to find your community, no matter where you go, like you got to try to find the community for you, right? Like, and I think here what helped me is that I had people that were going through the similar things I was going through. So our bond grew stronger because we knew we could relate to each other so much. So I think it's just, you know, finding people that you can relate to that's kind of going through similar things, you know, reflect a lot, you know, really ask yourself, what are you doing this for? What's your base purpose? If you feel like it's important enough, you know, keep going forth and just, you know, branch out, man. And that's kind of what I'll say too, just learning how to be uncomfortable. And so, yeah, this is kind of Red Square, and this is, so the ICC is basically another building that they kind of host a lot of classes in, and they do a lot of events there as well. You also have some of the department offices are on these floors. So I think the government department, history, Spanish, those are some of the departments that are hosted within the ICC. And so what you're seeing now is just the farmers market. So every Wednesday on campus, you have a farmers market where they have like a lot of different restaurants and stuff kind of come on the red square lawn, and like they kind of just like serve food or fresh products and stuff like that. So it's always cool. You kind of like look forward to the Wednesdays. That's when you can get a lot of good food to eat. They have like a Caribbean place that always comes, which I actually enjoy. Get you some jerk chicken and have a good time. A lot of people study in ICC as well. So you keep walking forward on the, oh. Yeah, so on the right here, on the right is another dormitory. So it's called Arupe. Arupe was just built, I think like about 4 or 5 years ago. So it's like one of the like newer buildings as well. And it's for sophomores. It's for sophomores and upperclassmen. And that is a traditional dorm as well. Well, it's actually, sorry, it's suite style dorm. So you have like 3 rooms. You kind of have like 3 rooms, all like kind of 2 to 3 rooms combined into one. And so each person has their own room, I think. So St. Mary's Hall, that's kind of where a lot of your nursing and medical courses are. So a lot of those like science heavy courses are all going to be taken at St. Mary's Hall, which is kind of kind of like far. It's like farther from most of the other places on campus, so it's a little hype. I didn't even talk about this during the presentation, but Levy Center, this is also another student center on campus where people can like kind of get the food. So like I talked about, the Chick-fil-A's in there, Crop Chop is in there. What happened?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I mean, you click the button too many times.
I'm gonna stop touching it.
Oh, but yeah, but CMEA is located on the 5th floor, Levy. So you have like I think Starbucks is located there. You have the Georgetown Hotel is connected to the Levy Center. So it's kind of the same buildings like the HFFC, but it's like a little bit more expansive. And you have like a little bit like more organizations, like affinity groups and departments that host their offices in here too. Also, the Georgetown Bookstore is in Levy Center as well.
Is there anything else that you want me to hit? Maybe like one more stop? I know we're taking up a lot of your time, but is there anything else where you're like, we should definitely check that out, or you want to add to?
I mean, if you want to scroll down to the dining hall, that would probably, since I didn't really cover that as much, but that's the Athletic John Thompson Center.
What is the dining hall? Like, how do I know?
Oh, Leo O'Donovan, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Can we go in?
I thought you could.
Well, we can look at this picture. Here's the pictures.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how they've remodeled it. It used to be 1 floor, but now they kind of remodeled it to now it's a multi-level floor. You have on the top floor, you have like Whisk, which is kind of where you can kind of get some of like the bakery, like whether you want to get like a coffee cake or something like that. At the bottom is just like your regular dining hall, whether you get like the grill station, pizza station, pasta, or like an allergen station, or if you're a salad bar, all that stuff is kind of located downstairs. And so like I said, upstairs they have like, yeah, that's downstairs. Upstairs you have like multiple different restaurants and stuff. So yeah, these are the different little sections that they have downstairs. And that's a picture of the upstairs.
That looks pretty fancy.
Yes.
Downstairs. These are out of order.
Yeah, I see.
Cool. Well, if anyone has any last minute burning questions, we are going to wrap pretty soon because it's Friday night and we've kept Malik for quite a while.
I already kept y'all. I'm sorry. I was talking a lot.
Anything else folks are wondering about? If you have a burning question, let us know. If not, I definitely have the means to get in touch with Malik. I'll share that info with you guys. I'm sure he'd be willing to talk to anyone one-on-one too if there's questions that just kind of lend themselves better to that format. Oh, here comes maybe a question. Do you still live on campus or off campus? It's Mr. Bradford is here. He joined us a little bit late, but you can answer that one pretty quickly again.
Yeah, what's up, Mr. Bradford? But I'm actually thanks, man. Thank you so much. But I'm actually still currently staying like off campus. I'm a few blocks outside of the front gates. So yeah, I just got back. This is my last semester. I just got back during January. I spent fall semester back at home. So
Are you guys having the in-person graduation, or what have they given that?
so they haven't, yeah, they haven't decided. I think they're trying to come up with different like plans as far as they're gonna kind of probably portion it off by each school. So so maybe like, you know, the college students, you know, seniors in the college or seniors in the business school. I think they're gonna try to do it like that to kind of like mitigate crowding. But I don't know. It's still up in the air, so we'll see. What about you guys though?
Yeah, there's no graduation,
Really?
no
So they
in-person
kind of like
traditional.
they've already said like no.
Yeah, they sent us like an email attachment. That's our graduation gift, but whatever. There's no graduation.
Well, the last thing I need from current cap and gown students, and y'all do not do that dusty fourth stuff and not do it. I know the ones who do, I know the ones who don't. I remember. Click that link, answer the form questions. It's really short. It takes 5 extra minutes, and it really is important for me when I collect data and figure out like, are these worthwhile? When I go to donors and make sure that we're getting the support y'all need. That's important for my end, for my information. So I make sure we plan good stuff for you guys and that we can do it. So I know it might feel like a job or like extra homework, but it really is an important step, and it should only take 5 or 6 minutes. So please do, current cap and gown students, fill out that form. I'm happy to hang for another minute or two for anyone who has questions or needs, but if you don't, do the reflection and then feel free to hop off. It looks like you do have a question from Brianni. Why did you choose Georgetown? Ooh, and what other schools were you thinking about? That's a good question.
I chose Georgetown, quite frankly, just because of the financial aid package. But even aside from that, I think I may have had like another school that gave me a decent financial aid package. It was also the best school I got into. So I was just like, I think it was just a better option for me in my life in the future. And I'm actually like happy that I kind of went through with that decision. The other schools I was looking into was Clark Atlanta, Tuskegee University. What are the schools that I get? I think Auburn University was another school that I applied to. I applied to like most of the Alabama schools, especially during the free application week. Yeah, that's pretty much was the school I was looking to. The crazy thing about it, I'll tell you the short story, is I never forget. I was in school with Christopher Scribner, which was my teacher my senior year, and we were just joking around, and he was like, he always tells all his students, he's like, oh, you're going to Harvard, you're going to Georgetown. And then he just was like, hey man, you should just apply to Georgetown. I'm like, you think I'll get in? He's like, it's just worth a shot. So we just went through, like, it was kind of all happenstance. I did it within like a week. Miss Heller helped me with the process as well, and ended up getting in. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna decide to go. So.
And just to tack on a shameless plug for the ACT prep that you guys have been slacking on. Again, I understand that Zoom is getting tiring. We are going to work back towards in-person, but Malik was like the #1 student for staying after. He really had that drive for ACT. So he was always after school at anything ACT prep. So if this is something you're looking for, it's not just like, oh yeah, I come once in a while to cap and gown. He's definitely a poster child for like, it's got to be like every day.
Hey, Miss Heller, tell them how like literally like even before and after practice. Like,
I was gonna say Malik would be like, oh, I'm gonna come after practice. Can we meet at like 7:30? And even for me, I would be like, do I want to do ACT? You can't say no, but yeah, Malik was hardcore with that ACT stuff. He would come in sweaty, stinking from the football practice field, wanted to do ACT prep for an extra hour and 90 minutes.
It's literally just practice. I just say like briefly with the ACT, I think just focus on your strengths. Forget the weaknesses, just focus as much on your strengths, in my opinion, and just like try to just do your best to kind of like get to a near perfect score in those. Like for me, I remember it was English, reading, and science were the easy. In science, because you told me, Miss Heather, it wasn't even really about science. It was the actual questions that they were kind of asking you and how you were supposed to answer them. So like, it was kind of like it was just muscle memory and just like getting over the fatigue of taking an exam that long. But Yeah.
Yeah, we would just drill every day after school. Drill. A lot of times with Isaiah and you. Was there one other question? Oh, just Mr. Bradford shouting y'all out. Proud of you too, Jalen, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Bradford.
Thanks to the students who are finishing up that reflection. Make sure you do that. Otherwise, you are dismissed, or you can hang out for questions. Either way. I'm gonna leave this open for 4 more minutes, and then I'm gonna close it. So if you have a burning question, ask it. Do you know how it works, Malik, as far as transferring? So I'm wondering, we do have like a couple seniors on the call who like obviously haven't applied maybe to Georgetown. Like, do you have any friends who've transferred in? When is transferred, so it's possible.
Yeah. I have a few friends, but I don't necessarily like know the process or how different it is from like a first year. Obviously, I think they're not gonna want to like have your not GPA, but your ACT anymore. It'll probably just be about like kind of what your involvement was at the current school you were in, and then the GPA you had there. I think that's kind of how it works. You still do the interviews, you still do the you're welcome, Jakisha. And you still do the interviews, you still do the essays and the kind of regular application process, I think. So I think it may be similar. I don't want to like be quoted on that though. But.
Okay. Has Georgetown gone test optional during COVID? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I haven't even checked yet, but that'd be something definitely to kind of look out for, because I know a lot of schools have kind of
I bet they did for last year and this year.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's probably good for people who did it. So you guys had not one student. I thought you guys had. I met a girl she was in the band. Her family.
Oh yes.
So did she not end up not applying? Or?
No, she applied. I think she even got. I can't remember if she got waitlisted.
Her name's Ardria.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And,
Yeah. I remember
she decided to go to Fisk. Yeah.
I was gonna say she really wanted the HBCU and the band, and I think she was waitlisted by Georgetown. I'm not sure if they ever got back to her, if she had already made her choice.
Yeah. Fisk is definitely a good choice.
I think COVID kind of had a part in that. So her parents felt more comfortable with her going to Fisk right now.
Yeah.
This is what we did, right?
Y'all see why I stay on mute, right?
Thank you so much, Malik. I'm glad. I mean, you killed this. Great job. Jalen did a great job last week too. So no shade there. He had a lot of help though. You really carried the team.
Who helped them? You helped them?
No, I mean, they've got more people at Berea.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen actually kind of made the whole PowerPoint though.
Okay. Yeah.
What'd you say, Jay?
No, I was just saying we had like Amina, my sister.
Yep.
Who else?
Wesley, who is always medium to low helpful.
Y'all got the whole Jemison squad over there.
Yeah, man. Fire a job, make your way.
Berea love Jemison students, huh?
Yeah, I mean, with the LaMonica, that's who didn't. She's here, but I don't hear much from her. Do you keep up with LaMonica?
I do. I mean, her mom works at Lee, so I see her mom all the time, and I keep up with her. Sebastian, for whatever reason, just blew us off.
Yeah, I didn't get talking about that.
Fake.
What about she was a year ahead of us. She went to Berea. I think she was
Paige. Yeah, she graduated.
So Paige ended up graduating.
Yeah.
Cool. I haven't even like heard about her in a while.
Yeah. Huh.
I actually don't know what Paige is doing now. That's a good question.
She's a STEM major, so I mean, it has to be
something. She was a nursing major, I think, right?
I know she was in STEM, but I'm not sure if it was nursing or it might have been chemistry.
Dope. All right, y'all. Well, thank you. Oh,
I was gonna ask, hey, Jalen, are you planning on being in a classroom like next year?
You want me to stop recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No pressure, bro. No pressure. I'm
just
curious.
So, I mean, I won't be in Jemison as a teacher, but I can say I will be there as an assistant coach for the wrestling team. I was recently given that position earlier this week. I'm taking a position in Tampa, but I'll be doing it remotely. But I'll move to Huntsville, Alabama. and just get the best of both worlds. I was at like a crossroads maybe like last year in December where I had to pick like either take TFA or like take Amgen, and it's just better for my CPA route just to keep that accounting practice under my belt. It would be a delayed process if I took TFA, in which I just had to take Amgen. But I'll be in Huntsville, but it won't be in the classroom.
Gotcha. I was just curious. I heard some rumblings, and I was like, I just wondered. So yeah, man, that sounds awesome, man. Do what you got to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, that remote, that's cool. I wish I was able to get my salary and move back home.
Malik, I don't know enough about where is your job gonna take you?
In terms of
like your new job that you're gonna be taking after school, like are you gonna be in DC still?
Oh, you're saying in terms of location. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I actually be moving to New York. I was just
Okay,
thinking.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so I mean the rent prices have lowered. Obviously, a lot of people kind of move out of the city, so it's a lot of more vacancies. It makes more sense to lock in I guess like a rent price at this point. So I'm gonna do that for a little while. But so they're gonna change the schedule of the thanks, Brianna. They're gonna change the schedule, work schedule after post COVID world or whatever. And so it'll be 3 days mandatory in office and then 2 days that just optional. So that's cool. And I was like, well, that'll kind of give me a little bit more flexibility in terms of traveling and stuff like that. But I know some friends that's like gonna be able to be working, have a job out in San Francisco and like work wherever. And I'm like, bro, you could save so much money like that. Cause they're not gonna reduce your pay. So
Totally. It'd be cool to live in New York though.
yeah, it'd definitely be cool and something to get adjusted to. So I'm actually looking forward to that.
So when do you start?
I think July 14th is my first day. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a challenge. Cause I didn't think I was gonna get that job. Just how the interview went. I'm always good in behavioral, but the like kind of technical case part of it, I didn't thought I did well. But they were just like, well, we know you don't have the business background, so that's what we're gonna provide you with. And when you couple that with the skills, like the soft skills that you have, you'll be fine. So I was just like, it's cool. I've been kind of just looking at like little certain like stuff like value chains and stuff like that. So I kind of like be abreast a little bit about that, but they kind of do like a 10 day kind of crash course of the like first year job, which is cool.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you. I'm so proud of both you and Jalen and Mr. Bradford. I'm proud of you. I will talk to y'all again soon though. Keep in touch. Jalen, you do a good job. Malik, you're busy. It's okay.
No.
Talk to y'all later.
See you guys.
All right.